Kotlin, with its modern syntax, JVM compatibility, excellent tooling, and support for multi-platform development, JVM, Native, JS, WASM, offers a fantastic toolkit for developing sophisticated penetration testing and red teaming tools. Its emphasis on conciseness and safety also helps in writing more reliable and maintainable offensive security code. Here are some exciting project ideas, categorized by complexity and focus. First, network and reconnaissance focused. 1. Kotlin-powered network reconnaissance toolset, intermediate. Core concept, a comprehensive suite for active and passive network reconnaissance. Kotlin advantages, Kotlin coroutines for highly concurrent and fast port scanning, service enumeration, and API calls. Ktor HTTP client for robust web requests and API interactions, OSINT. JVM for cross-platform compatibility, Windows, Linux, macOS. Kotlin Native for compiling to standalone, smaller binaries for specific scanning modules, potentially harder to detect by traditional AV EDR. Key features: fast port scanning, SYN TCP Connect UDP scans, using raw sockets or Java's datagram channel socket channel. Service enumeration, banner grabbing, basic protocol detection, HTTP, SSH, SMB, etc. Subdomain enumerator, brute force dictionary attacks leveraging public APIs, VirusTotal, FlipperZero databases. OSINT module, integrate with public APIs, Shodan, Census, GitHub, LinkedIn, social media to gather open source intelligence on a target. Vulnerability detections basic, check for common misconfigurations or default credentials on identified services. Learning opportunities, network programming, concurrency, API integration, data parsing, threat intelligence. 2. DNS tunneling and exfiltration tool, intermediate to advanced. Core concept, a covert channel for command and control, C2, or data exfiltration that leverages DNS queries and responses. Kotlin advantages, Kotlin coroutines for managing multiple concurrent DNS requests and responses. JVM's rich networking APIs for low-level socket programming. Ktor for a lightweight C2 server/client model. Easy data manipulation for encoding, decoding payloads within DNS records. Key features: client agent, written in Kotlin Native to be a small, stealthy binary on the target. Encodes data into DNS queries, for example using TXT or CNAME records. C2 server, a Kotlin JVM application acting as an authoritative DNS server, decodes incoming queries, executes commands, and encodes responses back into DNS records. Data encryption force obfuscation, implement custom encoding schemes, base64, hex, custom alphabet, and AES encryption for payload and response data. Interactive shell, provide a pseudo-terminal experience over the DNS tunnel. Learning opportunities, network protocols, DNS internals, low-level socket programming, encryption, client-server architecture, evasion techniques. Next, post-exploitation and evasion focused. 3. Modular Kotlin C2 framework, advanced. Core concept, a full-fledged command and control, C2, framework designed for red teaming with an emphasis on modularity, stealth, and cross-platform capabilities. Kotlin advantages, multi-platform, server, Kotlin JVM, Ktor Spring Boot for the backend, and potentially Kotlin JS or Compose multi-platform for a web-based UI. Agents, Kotlin Native for small standalone binaries, Windows, Linux, macOS, Kotlin JVM for larger implants, Kotlin Android for mobile targets. Kotlin coroutines for efficient handling of multiple agent connections. Strong type safety for building robust and less error-prone C2 logic. Easy integration of various communication protocols, HTTPS, DNS, SMB. Key features: Operator console, a user-friendly interface, CLI or web UI, to manage agents, issue commands, and view results. Stager/loader generation, tools to generate various payloads, DLLs, executables, shellcode, that download and execute the main agent. Agent modules, system enumeration, OS, users, processes, network config. Credential harvesting, Mimikatz Lite functionality, browser credentials. File system interaction, upload, download, browse. Process injection/migration, screenshot/keylogging capabilities, persistence mechanisms, scheduled tasks, registry, services, communication profiles, configurable C2 channels with various obfuscation, malleable C2 profiles, encryption, TLS, custom AES, and jitter settings, SOX proxying, allow operators to pivot through compromised hosts. Learning opportunities, full stack development, distributed systems, advanced networking, operating system internals, evasion techniques, security best practices. 4. Stealthy Kotlin payload loader/injector, intermediate to advanced. Core concept, a tool that can load and execute shellcode or malicious binaries in a stealthy manner, aiming to bypass common endpoint detection and response solutions, EDR. Kotlin advantages, Kotlin Native, compiled to a native self-contained executable with minimal dependencies, making it harder to analyze by static analysis tools. Can interact with C APIs directly, for example Windows API calls via Kotlin Native, without Java native interface, JNI overhead. JVM, if focusing on Java-based targets, can use Java's Reflection API or unsafe class for memory manipulation.
concise syntax for complex memory operations. Key features: shellcode loader. Take raw shellcode and inject it into a legitimate process or execute it directly in memory. Process injection techniques. Implement various methods like create remote thread, API injection, process hollowing. Obfuscation. Encrypt shellcode in memory. XOR encryption of payload, string obfuscation to avoid detection. Sandbox evasion. Implement checks for common sandbox indicators, CPU count, memory size, running processes. DLL/exe sideloading. Generate a legitimate-looking DLL that can be dropped alongside a vulnerable application to execute malicious code. Learning opportunities: Windows/Linux API programming, memory manipulation, anti-forensics, low-level system calls, reverse engineering principles. Next, web and cloud-focused. 5. Kotlin Web Fuzzer and Vulnerability Scanner, intermediate. Core concept: an automated tool to find common web vulnerabilities, SSS, SQLI, LFI, directory traversal, open redirects, SSRF, by intelligently fuzzing web applications. Kotlin advantages: KTOR HTTP client, powerful and flexible for making diverse HTTP requests, managing sessions, and handling redirects. Kotlin coroutines, ideal for concurrent requests to speed up scanning. Data classes and serialization, for example, Kotlin Sys.serialization for parsing JSON/XML responses. Key features: crawler, recursively discover URLs, forms, and parameters within a target web application. Payload management, a library of payloads for various vulnerability types. Intelligent fuzzing, identify input points, parameters, headers, body, and inject payloads, analyzing responses for error messages, changed behavior, or reflected input. SSS scan, detect reflected and stored SSS by injecting scripts and attempting to retrieve them. SQL injection detector, use time-based, error-based, and Boolean-based techniques. Authentication tester, brute force login forms, test for weak credentials. Report generation, export findings in a structured format, JSON, HTML. Learning opportunities: web security principles, HTTP protocol, regular expressions, front-end technologies, concurrent programming. 6. Cloud configuration auditor for AWS, Azure, GCP, intermediate. Core concept: a tool to automatically check cloud environments for common misconfigurations that can lead to security vulnerabilities. Kotlin advantages: seamless integration with existing Java SDKs for AWS, Azure, GCP. Kotlin coroutines for concurrently querying multiple cloud resources. Concise syntax for defining audit rules and processing large amounts of cloud configuration data. Key features: provider integration, modules for AWS, S3, EC2, IAM, Azure, storage accounts, VMs, RBAC, GCP, storage, compute engine, IAM. Policy engine, define custom audit rules, for example, S3 buckets should not be publicly readable. EC2 security group should not allow 0.0.0/0 SSH access. IAM policy should enforce least privilege. Vulnerable resource identification, identify resources that violate defined policies. Reporting, generate human-readable reports highlighting misconfigurations and suggesting remediation steps. Sensitive data detection, scan cloud storage for PII, API keys, or other sensitive information. Learning opportunities, cloud security best practices, IAM, specific cloud provider APIs, data analysis, rule-based systems. Next, other creative ideas. 7. Kotlin malware analysis sandbox, JVM-focused, advanced. Core concept, a lightweight, controlled environment within the JVM to analyze the behavior of Java/Kotlin-based malware by instrumenting its execution. Kotlin advantages: leveraging JVM's introspection, reflection, and bytecode manipulation capabilities, for example using libraries like ASM or ByteBuddy. Key features: dynamic analysis, load a suspected Java/Kotlin binary and execute it in a Fanbox JVM. API hooking, intercept calls to critical APIs, file I/O, network I/O, process creation, system properties. Behavior logging, record all intercepted actions and arguments. Network simulation, redirect network traffic to a controlled sink. Process monitoring, monitor for child process creation and their arguments. Report generation, summarize observed behavior, identified IOCs, ITs, domains, file hashes. Learning opportunities, JVM internals, bytecode manipulation, dynamic analysis, reverse engineering, sandboxing. General tips for Kotlin projects and penetesting. Libraries, leverage existing Java libraries, for example Apache Commons, Guava, various security libraries, seamlessly. Kotlin native, for stealthy agents or tools where a small single executable is crucial, Kotlin native with GraalVM native image for JVM projects is a game changer. It avoids the large jar dependency. Testing, write unit and integration tests. In security tools, reliability is paramount. Documentation, clear documentation for usage, features, and any specific considerations. Ethical considerations, ensure you have proper authorization before testing any systems. These tools are for authorized penetration testing and run teaming only. Choose a project that aligns with your current skill level and interests. Good luck and hacking ethically.